Alright, so I had some time this afternoon and I thought I would make my first video that I actually had some commentary in. And I want to talk about my two favorite handguns, or my two favorite pistols. They both happen to be SIGs. We have the Sig Sauer 1911 Nitron rail right here, and the Sig Sauer P238 Nitron with the Rosewood grips. I'm pretty lucky to be able to own my two favorite guns. And yeah, let's just get into it. First I'll show you that these things are unloaded. This one's actually got some snap caps, but there's nothing in the chamber. Let's actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and throw a snap cap in the chamber there so we can talk about the trigger a little bit later. Show you that this little P238's unloaded. Nothing in the mag. Pop that safety up. Alright, so these are my two favorite guns. Sort of like the big SIG had a little baby, or has a little brother. Let's talk about them a little. Let's start with the 1911. First and foremost, a lot of people out there will say that this is not a true 1911, and I agree with them. It's not a true 1911. It is, in my opinion, one of the best modern interpretations of a 1911. It's very, very, very different from traditional 1911s, but it's also very similar. John Moses Browning designed that gun and patented it a long time ago, over 100 years ago, and since then it hasn't really changed much, but there are some features that you can get on 1911s that appeal to people like me, and let's talk about them. First and foremost, with this SIG, you'll notice that its lines are quintessentially 1911, but at the same time it's a little different. The way that the top of the slide sort of breaks into the side in this tooling, or this machine work rather, is just a little different. It's instantly SIG, and I love it. I think it's awesome. The addition of a rail is not so traditional, but I like the fact that I can run a light on this if I have to for home defense, though I do not have one on there now. I like the external extractor purely from an aesthetic standpoint, to be honest, but it functions well for me, and a lot of people out there hate 1911s with external extractors. I don't really have a preference, but I do like on the SIGs, I like the way this looks. It just goes with that boxier 1911 look. We have the speed bump on the grip safety, some stippling, a lot of differences. But this SIG with this Nitron finish is, in my opinion, just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous 1911. It's a lot of bang for your buck. It's still, you still have to pay for that SIG name. And to be honest, at first I wasn't a big fan. A big fan of SIG, because when I first got into firearms, I thought SIGs were just overpriced. You were paying for the name a lot. But then as I started handling them, I realized there's a reason they have the reputation they have, and the quality of them is up there. Now, it's still a production gun. For a 1911, it's not, in the territory of Ed Brown, Kimber Custom, even Nighthawk Custom. It's nowhere near those. But for the money, this thing is awesome. I love that Nitron finish. It's almost a slate gray or a matte black, sort of a parkerized finish, and I think it's awesome looking. I think it's just a real neat modern 1911. The trigger on this thing, drop that safety, still got the snap cap, is just fantastic. I love this 1911 for home defense. I think it's gorgeous. I think we live in pretty modern society with iPhones and the internet everywhere you go, and lots of different things, and I think modern 1911s are great, and I think it's still hard to beat a 1911. That being said, I still love my Glocks, as you've seen in my other videos. I have a lot of them, and I love other guns too, but I love this gun. It's my favorite gun that I own right now. Let's move on to the P238. If you're into firearms, you're eventually gonna maybe start carrying a firearm, or maybe you got into firearms because you started carrying a firearm. That being said, I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the P238. There's hundreds of videos on YouTube about this thing. It's actually the first time I've actually seen these two particular guns next to each other, though. I've never seen the Nitron 1911 and the little Nitron SIG together, so that's kind of cool looking. But I love this thing. It takes all the aspects I covered with aesthetics from this 1911, sort of brings it to this modern interpretation of the Colt Mustang. Now, there are some things that are different about this, and there are some things that are just, well, let's just get into it. First and foremost, this is a carry piece for me. I also think, there's a lot of other guns out there. I carry my Glock 26 Gen 4 a lot, but I also think that this one's just a little bit smaller and easier to hide. I can't Can't speak again. But anyways, the differences between this and say regular 1911 is there's no grip safety, obviously, and the safety system's a little bit different. It's still a single action only trigger, but a big difference is that you can have this safety up and you can still manipulate the slide. The other big difference is when the hammer's down, you can pop that safety up and you can half cock it, which is pretty cool. I haven't really seen a lot on YouTube talking about that. It's a pretty neat setup. I like the fact that you can leave the safety on, you know, drop the mag, unload it, even lock it to the rear. Load it, if I had a round in this magazine, load it all with that safety up. I think that's just really great function. I love the aesthetics of this. The Nitron finish crate over here. The night sights on this thing are pretty similar to the night sights on the Big Brother, and it just looks awesome. I think it's the best looking packing pistol you can buy. One thing I not a big fan of maybe is this guide rod and the extended guide rod, but I really don't care. It's kind of this weird hybrid between, it's got a single action trigger pull, it's really like a 1911 when Colt designed the Mustang, but it's also, when you take it apart, it's really similar to like a polymer frame gun. So it's a really cool gun. And yeah, there's not much more to say about it. There's tons of videos on it. I'm not really doing a review, just wanted to show you two of my guns and, you know, put a video out there where I'm actually talking in it, just so you guys can hear my opinion on some of these guns and why I own some of these guns. I think both triggers are great. This one's maybe a little mushier and a little heavier, but mushy on a single action trigger is still a hell of a lot better than a striker fire pistol. That's just my opinion, so don't want to offend anyone. These are my two favorite pistols, and the next video I'm going to do is probably just going to talk about the 3 pistols that I carry the most. So hope you guys like this video. It's a little informal. I obviously had some issues with speaking, but one take. Hope you guys like it. Sorry it's a little bit long. And check out my other videos.